Hi, welcome back to Lab Blab. This week, we're going to be talking about the basic usage of autopipetters. If you ever find yourself in a lab and you need to transfer a very small amount of liquid, the best tool to use is called an autopipette. I have this autopipetter set to draw 100 microliters. Here I have some corresponding autopipette tips that will fit this specific pipetter. If your samples need to remain sterile, the pipette tips come in these really handy boxes to where you don't have to touch anything at all. You can just apply the tip to the pipetter without ever having to touch it. The most important thing about using a pipetter is to never tip it over. If the liquid from your sample were to get up into the mechanisms of the pipetter, it can damage the insides and mess with the calibration as well. So you always want to keep it upright like this. Before you draw up your sample, you want to press the plunger all the way down to make sure the last sample is completely cleared out. When you do so, you might notice you feel some resistance when you get halfway down the plunge. That's called a stop. When you're ready to draw your sample, you want to press your plunger down to the first stop. Place the tip of the pipette into your sample and slowly release the plunger. If you release it too quickly, it can cause your sample to shoot up into the mechanism. And here you have your sample. When you're ready to eject, press the plunger down to the first stop, and you'll notice there is still a little tiny bit of liquid in the tip of your pipette. That's where your second stop comes in handy. Press the second stop all the way down, and it will eject every bit of your sample. If you want to avoid cross-contamination, be sure to use a new pipette tip between each sample. Use the ejector button here to eject your tip into the proper tip disposal container. Autopipetters became popular in the mid-1970s. Before that, scientists would often use their mouth to draw up liquid through a tube. As you can imagine, that is no longer considered a safe practice. No mouth pipetting.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Wednesday for Lab Blab.